Welcome to 50 Plus Home and Gardening. Today is a really pretty day, nicely in June, and we're going to talk about drifts because drifts really make a garden talk or splash. So when you have a drift, it speaks to what you really enjoy. And if you have a drift, you got to make sure you love the color. So if you don't like yellow, don't get something yellow like a daylily that has yellow in it. Maybe if you like blue, make that the dominant, largest drift. And then you can do maybe little yellow, little pink. Try to pick 3 colors. It's really the easiest. You can always add later. Try to stick to 3. Your favorite color in the garden, pink. Make a drift of that. And then blue, make a drift of that, like salvia. And for pink, you could go with coneflower. And then if it's yellow, you can go for the yellow hot pokers or the daylilies, something like that. So think of your drifts, think of what you want, and plant it in. So I'm going to show you one of my drift borders, and let's get started with this. I love drifts. Nice, neat, and tidy. All right, we are coming out to one of my favorite gardens. Look at this. One drift of one type of plant. The yellow hot poker. I don't know the name because it was a plant that was already here at the house. It was about the size of this. Pretty large, but I took the bottom, cut it, divided it, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 divides. Man, isn't that cool? Perennials, if you really like a perennial, divide every year for a while and then let it go. Let it just do its thing. The first year, this was just grass. And that was the start. Then it was kind of weak because there wasn't, these were so small, the divides were so small that it didn't give a big impression. And then I put the bricks in to kind of make this a real bed and then put the red mulch. So it makes it a better standout. So if I look at all 3 beds, kind of unique. I could make drifts of the same one and put it in here, and then it would really be wow. I'm not sure if those pokers will, this is on the east side, the sun comes this way, and I'm not sure if there'll be enough sun because eventually this is just shaded and this is shaded. So I only put them in here, and the sun loves it now, but you know, I could try it because that would be fun to see the drift here and here and here. All right, if I look at this certain plant, you can see how many plumes it has, how it dies back. You see it gets brown, and this whole thing will just turn brown all the way up, and then you cut it off. When you cut this off, you get new growth. More little babies will come up, and it'll probably have, you can see deep down, and there's another one down there. There's another one way down there. You can't maybe see it in the camera. There's several of them down there. They're going to make a second amount of plumes, and it is going to be fabulous again. Now, after a while, it slows down. You have to think of a perennial as they have their show, maybe 3 weeks, and then they're kind of done, and then they lull, sort of like roses. In May, they're a show. After that, they kind of lull. You're still going to get a few roses, but not that many. But look at your perennial and see, oh, I love that perennial every year in the bed. Like, you know, here's a bed of kind of more of a scattered look. Let's see if I can even see in there. This bed over here has a lot more different varieties of plants. And you may say, this is stellar. I love this every year. So you could divide that and then bring it in here. And that would bring more color, and it would also bring more interest for you. And it would be something that I would take the time to dig, divide, and bend over for. Yeah, when you're older, you have to think, is it worth doing it? Because it's a lot of work. The other thing that I have of drift in this bed is Autumn Joy sedum. That's a good plant. Look how round it gets, rosy, beautiful. Those are just stems right now. This will get an August to September bloom, and it'll have pink rosettes. The whole thing will be covered with pink. This, all over will be covered with pink. Really, really going to look really good. But right now, you're just getting this kind of a green rose and letting this be the show. So I really like that. If you want to have continuous drift blooms, you want to think of this is going first, May, June, and then this is September, August, September, October, and then I have another drift, and that is irises. These are already done, so this would have been first before this. And then you have, look at these. These aren't super impressive flowers, and I may cut them off. This is lamb's ear, and this is what lamb's ear does. It has these tall, little teeny flowers. Look at how small they are. And, you know, they're not super pretty. So I'll show you what they look like when they're not there. I take these down pretty far. So you just cut them at the base. And you're left with furry foliage. They're like lamb's ear, very soft and really pretty. And they have sort of a blue-green. So I'm going to take the rest of these off. So here's the pretty plumes of, this is just a leaf form, and then I'm just going to cut off all of these tall, because these are pretty done. The flowers aren't really significant, so I'll just take them all off. Okay, that's the plant in its full glory of just the leaves. And you see how much cleaner that looks? So I kind of like that. So you can see how tucked in that looks. If I want to, I can divide that. Believe me, this, if you left those plume seeds, they would be everywhere. So I could divide this, put some over here, and I may do that. Because right now it doesn't look like there's too many pieces of that. But now without the plumes, it kind of looks like a nice little arched plant. This is kind of arched. And then you have some bladed plants and also some grassy plants. So a little variety of a lot of things. But here's what you learn when you put out your drifts. So I decided in this garden that I wanted it to be kind of like it seeded itself. So I have one there and 3 or 4 there, one there, one there, randomly over there, and then kind of coming down the hill. But the only thing I don't like about that is I'm kind of a neatnik. So even though each one of these is pretty on its own, and I love this drift of lamb's ear, and there's a little bit of lamb's ear there and there. You can't see it now, but there was that clump that we took out up here. There's the other lamb's ear. You really can't still notice the drifts. So here's my plan. I have the arch of how that was the first thing I had to decide. So I put bricks all along here, and I made my arch so that I could have a little pathway on both sides to look at both. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, lovely. I love the drifts. I love it all. But it's still, to me, a messy garden, even though there's only 2 or 3 plants in it. So I think next year, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out all of the yellow hot poker and I am going to make a swing like this. All the way down, because there's not even any down right at the end of the garden. So I'm going to swing it all the way. I have enough to divide every single one of these and just make a big giant swing all the way down. And the next thing I like against it is, look how pretty this looks. So you want to look at your gardens and, you know, understand how it works and what the plants are doing. But look at this. This is a total different structure next to these grassy kind of a leaf thing. So these Autumn Joy sedums, they can be next. So I have a drift of these. Yellow hot poker. And then you have right next to that the Autumn Joy sedum. Okay, here's the drawing that I came up with. Basically, the outside is the yellow hot pokers, or Kniphofia, if you want to say that. That is going to be on the outside. And then right here is going to be the phlox. So I have creeping phlox randomly, and I'm just going to place it right there. And then the next lineup would be the salvia, Violet Riot salvia from Proven Winners, and that's what I have. And the next row will be the Autumn Joy sedum. And then the very next row will be irises, the purple irises that I have. This is representing the big giant maple tree. And then this next row would be the Powwow Wildberry Coneflower, Echinacea, right here. And if I can fit it in, it'll be the lamb's ear right here at the edge. It's the shortest, smallest. So this is going from, this is the east side where the sun comes in. This is the shortest to the tallest. This grass is the tallest. This phlox will be kind of covered, but I'm hoping that it will change its colors and do a good thing on this side, because when I walk the walkway, which is right here, I'm going to want to see some hidden color. And this is a spring bloomer. These two will bloom together. This will bloom in the fall. This blooms earlier, like in March, probably with the phlox. And then the echinacea, that blooms all summer long. And then you have the lamb's ear, which really doesn't bloom, but it gives a lot of that gray, that gray leaf color. So I think this is going to be my plan for next year. So I think what I'll take is I will take these echinacea coneflower. Bing, bing, bing. These are called Powwow Wildberry. So you can see how bloody hot pink they are. Just starting to bloom out. Look at these. Just keep going with the yellow. So I would measure from here and then try to measure here, because it's going a little bit less, to all the way to here. So you may need a helper if your garden is not perfectly straight. So I would need a measurement all the way down to the end, and then crosswise, and then how narrow it gets, probably right there. And then kind of make a paper drawing of what you want, and see if you can, to scale, fit in all the plants that you have. If not, there's plenty of room over here. Let's go through some of the things that are in here. As far as hardscape, I have this solar pole, which I think I got at Joann's. Just a fun thing for lighting outside at night so you can see this corner and where it ends. And then you can go straight and you can actually walk down the rest of the way. And then this birdhouse that my dad built a while ago before he passed away. This is holding martins, or swallows, I think. Swallows. And yeah, I really like this. This has been a joy. They kicked out the bluebirds, which I was amazed. Bluebirds are pretty tough. And then right next to this Tuscarora is the Titan Icy, I think it's called the Icy Vinca. And it'll just fill in probably 1.5 to 2 feet round. And it'll fill in this blank spot here. Sometimes while you're thinking of your gardens and also while you're trying to plan things, annuals work good and food really works good. So you can have your tomato plants kind of just random. This is my creeping phlox. This one's a good piece. It's pink, flowers in the spring. Got the irises, purple. This has a pink plume if you let it go, but I kind of like it more of a mound. This is the coneflower echinacea, powwow, wildberry. Wildberry. This is a ginkgo tree. If it grows up, now of course, if this all goes into shade, makes a different story because this will make a lot of shade. But it's going to take forever to get there. It's a baby, but a ginkgo is a nice shade tree, and it will have yellow fall color. Again, I've got enough yellow in this garden. I don't need any more yellow, I think. Let me think other things like pink or blue. There is another piece of creeping phlox. Coming down here, I have beets, just because I wanted to fill in some more irises, which I can remove. Put them in a nice, neat stack. There's another Titan Icy Vinca. Oops, this one also has tomatoes. Look at there. So they're all getting tomatoes. There is a whole row of tomatoes, so I'm gonna have plenty of tomatoes. And all the way up and on that side. So there's tomatoes, lettuce. I kind of just put all the seeds out this year, temporary. So coming down here is, you've got 2 salvia. Those are just volunteers. And I can see, you see that, what looks like a weed? That is a supertunia. So it'll be right next to the salvia, and that is fine. Let it just creep here for now. I don't have anything there. If you have a weed growing in your garden, don't pick it until you recognize the leaves. I almost picked that last year, and then I realized it was a supertunia, and so I left it, and I got a bunch of color right here. And now I recognize it this year as it came back, and there are 3 pieces. So just let it grow. And this was a volunteer, and this was a volunteer. So just let them do their thing. Here's some more creeping phlox. That is okay. More tomatoes, beets, tomatoes, lots of tomatoes, and more beets just for fun. And there's a dog bowl in case a critter wants to get into that instead of my bird bath. So I like that. Then I have a Blue Point juniper, which will get 5 by 8 feet tall on this corner. And as you can see, it's just a baby right now. So you can have annuals around it all year round. Like these irises, they'll have to be removed as this one gets larger, but not right now. This is very, very tiny. So you'll plan based on your plant size. And then the large Brandywine maple is getting bigger and bigger. And as this gets bigger, you can see the amount of shade it gives, but it does move just slightly over so that they're not going to be completely in shade. But as it gets bigger, I'm going to have to think about what can handle that area and still bloom. And this crepe myrtle. So I have a Tuscarora, a yellow ginkgo, Brandywine maple that is in its 3rd year. We did plant it, and it's gotten pretty big. I love it. I am looking forward to shade because I actually want to grow more hostas and things like that. Just enjoy looking at it. So keep moving, keep gardening, and stay creative. And I'll see you next time.